Link engaged.
All right, it's game number 2 here between our Terran player Baz, who will be occupying the 7 o'clock position, while his opponent, the Green Zerg, will be in the 1 o'clock position. Now, one thing that you almost instantly have to point out, Chill, is the fact that this is not a side close by ground, between the two rocks. I don't know what the hell you call that. The word is escaping me, and I probably used it a million times. But anyway, we have cross positions. And when we've seen Terran and Zerg spawn side by side on this map, I swear to God, the win rate for Terran is like 99.1%.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a fact checker on that. I'm not sure that's 100% accurate.
Hey, listen,
but you definitely have that
Team Liquid
feeling.
thread, and it wasn't closed, so no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but you definitely have that feeling where Terran just takes his expansion, walls it off on the front with 3 barracks or whatnot, pushes through the rocks, takes the 12 o'clock, and then Zerg is kind of helpless as these siege tanks are just knocking on the door of his main base, coming through the back door. But as you said, we have cross positions here, and we've got a pretty aggressive barracks placement here. So McLeod could be going for the bunker rush, or he could be looking to wall off here. I think we need to point out that it really looks that McLeod did that build based on the positions. Metalopolis close ground positions, just so
Totally.
difficult for Zerg to deal with. Now Zerg has kind of some room to play here. He can stretch out, spread his wings, and really get his macro on. We can see him not going for the defensive build here. He's going for a 15 hatch anyway, and he's got his Overlord going to spot in case any angry SCVs come in and start dropping bunker-like structures right outside of his natural hatchery.
Yeah, and this is a surprise drone, two racks there at the front, and it'll be interesting to see how he'll react to that. Obviously, the spawning pool has gone down just after the hatchery, and one of those barracks is already done. Now, he's rallying to the ramp, so there's no, like, immediate sign of aggression that we can see. Well, and then, of course, the rally changes, and it's going right to the front door into the expansion of ViBE. So this is going to be a true test of the Zerg. I think to like get out of Zerg puberty, you have to eventually like have stopped a rush like this. So there's a part of me that's going to say I think ViBE I think he's going to hold this off.
Well, it's not all in. I mean, that's what we can be sure about here. There's only 3 SCVs. If there was something like 8 SCVs, then we'd have to be worried. Spinecrawler going down immediately. Bunker has not been started, and the Marines are a little bit slow getting on over here. Bunker really needs to be started here, and he needs to target down that Spinecrawler. Production tab showing 6 Zerglings on the way now, and I agree with you. Oh my God, that's a lot of bunkers. 3 bunkers going down right away, but look at the surround that the Zerglings are getting right. Actually, the Marines doing a bit of damage. Drones coming out as Zerglings able to surround them, and yeah, I think this is completely going to be shut down. He's got all his drones out there. Zerglings trying to surround. Marines trying to make a full dash into the bunkers, but completely shut down. He would do well to salvage these right away, and he's not.
Yeah.
Whoa, he's not salvaging them. That is really strange to me.
Yeah, this actually was kind of fail from the beginning because, of course, once he put those bunkers down, he kind of discounted the fact that he would have the Spinecrawler there to deal with. Now, one bunker has survived, but we'll see that Spinecrawler get in range, currently burrowing as another Marine heads on in here. So the Marines can do some more annoying damage, but there you see that perfect distance there. And the Zerglings are going to rush in. They're going to take out one. No speed on the way, but because this is such a long map, we are going to see engagement here. And the Zerglings will take out 1, 2, 3, and probably this 4th Marine here eating away at the reinforcements. Finally, he'll turn around those Zerglings they're bleeding as they go back to the base. So there he does very nice defense of that. But I kind of have to say, it wasn't like the most amazingly executed bunker rush by the Terran.
Yeah, I mean, Zerg definitely got the better of that, and I think this is where we find how much depth McLeod really has in his play. Is he a cheesy bunker rusher, or is he someone who puts on a little pressure so he can get a safe expansion, and then, this is something he can transition out of very easily. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Is this something that he's completely shut down his options as he wanted to kill him with that bunker rush. I would lean towards no. He's probably done this enough times, and you know, the fact that he didn't bring too many SCVs along with him kind of lends itself to the fact that he probably wants to put on a little bit of pressure there and get his expansion up safely. Let's go ahead and throw up the income tab. We can see Zerg well ahead in terms of harvester count, which is really surprising. Terran needs to get on his horse. I'm surprised he's down this much. He brought only 3 SCVs, and he must have cut a few SCVs to get a faster expansion, but we're approaching like 2-to-1 range here. 2 drones for every SCV, so that's really surprising to me.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, and you know, we'll have to see how this keeps going, because it's one thing the Zerg's been doing very, very well, droning up. He's now taking both his gases at the natural expansion as well, and Lair is halfway done. So real likely that we're going to probably see some heavy Muta play here, but we also have these Zerglings taking down the rocks in the back here, and finally a little bit a taste of his own medicine, because you can get a little bit safe doing that, although people will argue that you have to expand that way. So it's really not to your benefit, especially going into the late game, to tear those rocks down. However, you catch someone with their pants down chill, and it could be a real nice thing. Now, give it some focus over here to the Terran. We see the starport about ready to finish. We've got a tech lab going on the front barracks, no doubt here for Marine Stim. And then we've got out of the factory just siege tanks. It's kind of what you'd expect, but not the hugest army from Baz. It looks like he's kind of recovered fine from his little early aggression.
You know, I really like what I see out of Vibe here. He's got his Spire on the way. He's got his Evolution Chamber. He's researching correctly. +1 melee attack as, I guess, lesser players. I guess players we wouldn't expect to see in the round of 4 of a TL Open like this, maybe going for Carapace. He's actually got a second Evolution Chamber here, and he's spreading creep well. He's got one creep tumor train headed towards the center of the map. He's got another one spreading creep around inside his main base. Looks like that's going to be headed towards the northern side of the map. Supply showing 68 for a Zerg player, 64 for a Terran player, so very close there. As you said, factory with a tech lab add-on. Going to be making siege tank. Siege mode is beginning. He's got the reactor add-on on the starport again, and I mean, this is just standard old-fashioned TVZ. We've got the Spire just about to complete. We've got 500 gas for a Zerg player, so Mito's production going to begin here as the gas drops all the way down to 0. And this is where we start to get a sense of who is a better player between these two. When we see the Mutas out harassing, and we see how well McLeod deals with that, and we also see how quickly Vibe takes a third base and where he starts to expand.
Looking for the NG Bay. Finally, it's going down in the base of Baz along with an armory. So not only will that give him, obviously, turret abilities, but get him ready for those crucial upgrades he'll need later on. Now, a lot of Zerglings coming out. And one thing I want to point out, if you look at the front of the Terran base, he has salvaged that bunker. So the only thing separating the inside from the outside is this tech lab with only 400 hit points. And if he did decide to go, he did get Baneling speed. We see 10 Banelings on the way. I would love, absolutely love, to see a bust in through the front door. Now, these Mutalists could serve as a distraction here, as they are going to make their way over. There is one missile turret currently being made. The Marines are going to be moved to the back of the base, and you can see that Stim is almost done. So I wouldn't be able to believe it, but the Banelings, it's not going to happen. But the Banelings can just bust that down, interrupt the research of Stim, and I do like this, stealing away a siege tank there, almost, but doing a lot of harassment here.
Wow, he didn't get it, but really nice with the Mutas. This kind of brings us back to the Brood War days, where Mutas actually did some harassment. They're not just fighting units. Really nice work there. I'm not, impressed that much with McLeod's turret placement. He's got 2 at the natural, which are kind of redundant to each other, kind of unnecessary. Now the Muta's swinging around, going to go to work on the rocks. Well, they should probably work on this depot. Really nice there. And actually, there's only one turret here, not completely covering the mineral line, as a few SCVs go down there. Only 1 or 2 is for Stim, but medevacs are out, so not too big a deal. And the third base is up for Zerg. It looks like he's decided to take, I don't know what to call it, the pocket expansion here. That's what I'm going to
I
call
like
it.
that,
He's not,
Jill. I like
not,
the pocket expansion.
You like the pocket?
I'm
Yeah, I mean,
totally
there's 3
stealing
options.
that.
They all have different ways that the game plays out. Sometimes we see Zergs break down the destructible rocks and take 12 o'clock, but that kind of can have troubles of its own when Terran expands to the northern side of the map. They can easily access that. Some Zergs like to take the eastern side, as we can see a Ghost Hatchery going down on top of the Marine at the bottom right natural. The problem there is that Terrans can push in that direction as well through the southern side, and then it becomes very easy to take that out. So the pocket expansion, the one problem there, if Terran does a big push through the center, then he can access that really easily, and it's hard for Zerg to hold on. But this muta harassment, while I've been babbling, has been keeping Terran locked down. Supply showing 120 for Terran and 127 for Zerg, so very close supplies here in the mid game.
Yeah, and the Muta's count's pretty high, and look at that. That's going to prompt the Terran to move out, and surprising, he could get them back in there. We're going to have a stim from a little army of Marines that is going to come in here, stay inside the main. Siege tanks are going to be moving out. We see about 5 siege tanks there, and the Zerg is up front. Now, be careful with those banelings. Right now, Zerg actually has the advantage there. Could use the terrain to their advantage, you know, the tall grass, but they are going to move back. I'm not sure that he's got enough banelings here. We got more coming in. We're seeing level 2 air weapons being researched right now, and melee +2. More Zerglings coming out, and the Mutas it looks like they're trying to poke in here and just take this army out of position. Don't let this Terran army get too far forward. We are going to see a big transfer of SCVs over to the pocket expansion of the Terran, and look at this. We're going to have the Zerg going after those rocks. The Terran is going to identify this, but he could sneak in here and get some damage done. We'll see. It'll take a long time for those rocks to go down.
Mutalisk, meanwhile, harassing the natural, taking out one refinery and working on the second one. It actually does end up burning down, so that's going to take away some gas from Terran. Terran pushing out, and you know, this is a bit of a different expansion. We don't see too many Terrans taking the pocket expansion. This may be a response to the fact that Zerg didn't expand to 12 o'clock, forcing Terran to expand to top left, and Zerg also didn't expand to bottom right, forcing Terran to expand to 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, we have the Mutalisk harassing, taking out the going to take that down very quickly. And where are these Marines headed? Headed in the wrong direction. All the SCVs and mules forced to run away, and the Mutalisk driven out by the Stim Marines. So the game kind of resets. We have the creep continuing to spread through the center, which is very pivotal for the inevitable final battle.
Yeah, and you know what? This Muta Harass at the pocket expansion is just phenomenal. Not only did he get a ton of SCV kills, he stopped a bunch of turrets from being produced. Now he's going to work on those back rocks. More Mutas getting mowed down as they come to reinforce. And once these... Oh my god, look at this army that's making their way over there. There's a ton of Zerglings, and this army's going to be way out of position. There's absolutely nothing that the Terran could do to defend this. Sans loading up some units and bringing them over. Muta's got to be careful. What are you doing, Lynx? Just go in there and cause damage. And look at it, the back rocks being taken down will pay off.
Oh my
but
god.
you've got to worry about the Terran counterattack right now. The Terran knows my base is toast. I got nothing left to reinforce. So this is where I go into attack. And let's see, the Muta's going to move in. Could take out some siege tanks.
Yeah, Muta's coming in to harass. Siege tanks sieged up, just sitting around getting sniped off by the Mutas. 1 siege tank down, 2 siege tank down, but a bit of a sandwich here by the Marines, taking out a bunch of Mutalists, and the Baneling. Whoa! A lot of Banelings hit by the Crucio shock cannon. That sounds pretty manly there. But regardless, let's take a look in the Terran main base. And it's not going to be there very long. Soon he's going to be floating away to bluer pastures, I guess. This is his entire main base completely cut up. Terran needs to be advancing, and he's not advancing. He needs to realize that he's all in, and he needs to get on his horse and start moving. But he's not. He's just sitting in the middle of the map, now bringing out his entire army, bringing out medevacs. He should probably start floating. He's got this pseudo wall in. But this is it for Terran. He needs to do or die by this attack. Mutalisk coming in yet again to the middle of the base, taking out some more siege tanks, taking out some stray Marines. Here come Banelings working on tanks. That's never a good trade, but it doesn't even matter. Zerg just has so much that soon Terran is going to realize there's nothing he can do, and we're probably going to see this go to game number 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and actually that's really exciting because that was a nice play by the Zerg, anticipating using that back rock. So there's the GG. This one deserves it. There we go. using those back rocks and taking them down really early in the game. You know, your Zerglings can do a lot of things for you. Obviously, they can fight, they can scout early on when they're not really doing anything and you're teching out. But taking out those back rocks, it's kind of a risk, and it really paid off. When the Terran moved out, there was no way he was going to get to that back door before some major damage was done. So once the mutas were kind of, once they became ineffective with their harassment, they took out those back rocks, letting those lings in. And did you see how quickly they chewed through that base? Like, that was fast.
And I think that's one of the reasons we don't see Terran go to the pocket expansions, because typically we see, as we talked before, we see Terran expand to the top left or expand to 6 o'clock, and that kind of spreads his bases out in a line, so he only has 2 choke points to expand, or to defend, to deal with the Zerg harassment. When you take that pocket expansion, you have your backdoor rocks, you have your main choke at your natural, and then you have the rocks at your third base. Presents a lot of harassment opportunities, and I guess McLeod just wasn't able to keep his eyes on all 3 of them and deal with the harassment. I think when we saw the Zerg player ViBE in his comfort zone on his map, because that's a point we should kind of reiterate, is this is his map. He looked pretty dominant. He looked like he was kind of a level above McLeod, but when we saw them kind of isolated on close positions and McLeod executing his strategy really cleanly and a strategy that was tailored to the map and the positions, we kind of saw the reverse effect. So now we're going to go on to game number 3, where I guess McLeod has chosen Lost Temple, and we have the opportunity to go back to close positions where we can see that timing attack executed again. Or we could get cross positions where we kind of see a replay of game number 2. So I think positions going to game number 3 is really is going to be pivotal to who's going to have the upper hand.